It's Gianna Lung at Convincing Crypto, where we keep you in the loop on all the latest trends and news on crypto and blockchain technology. Today, we have a very special guest on our show. We have Raul Benedittis. He is the co-founder and CEO of Nuvola. So if you want to wave to the camera, you can, Raul.
Hey guys, thank you, Gianna, for having me today. Super honored to be here.
Of course, it's another exciting Cardano project that we'll share today. So before we dive in, I want to ask you one quick question, Raul. I want to know, how did you get into the blockchain space? How was Nuvola born? And did you have any skepticism when you were first joining the whole blockchain or crypto space?
Yeah, so my entry into blockchain actually dates back to late 2017, early 2018. Believe it or not, I was actually at my quality engineering job. I worked
Huh.
for a company that was contracted by some big military contracts, and I was walking by a fellow coworker's screen desk, and I saw on his screen he had a chart, and I just happened to walk over, and I was like, "Hey man, like, what's this?" He's, "Oh, this is Bitcoin chart. I'm looking to trade," and I fell in love since then. I kind of never even knew crypto was a thing. And the more I delved into it, I was introduced to Ethereum. And then by February, March of 2018 is when I made my first Cardano transaction, and I purchased some. And I had just watched Charles's whiteboard video, and I instantly fell in love with the vision. And since then, it's been a journey of ups and downs and sideways, and mostly ups, thank God, which have all led me to essentially where I am today. I've been very involved in the Cardano ecosystem, especially since DeFi and everything else has started to go live on it. And I've been studying a lot of the DePIN sector. And one of the biggest DePINs that caught my attention recently in the last year and a half was iohk. I bought in back in 2023, February-ish, and I was really anticipating and looking forward to contributing to their node operations and providing storage and computing resources. And when it went live in December, I kind of came across some technical hurdles, excuse me, that I wasn't anticipating. And it wasn't as simple as I thought it was going to be. Nothing against iohk, just simply me not being the most technically savvy. And after networking with a few of the people that I knew, the idea Nuvola came to be for me wanting to essentially get assistance with running my own nodes via someone helping me manage them. And the light bulb went off, and I said, well, if I have this problem, I wonder how many other people are going to have the same problem. So why don't I create a system where we can run global scale operations on behalf of the larger community and revenue share back what we essentially earn. And the revenue share model in DePIN, essentially, as decentralized as these networks are, the revenue share model is very exclusive to the node operators or anyone who's contributing to the network, whether this be 10 people or 10,000 people. That's who the revenues will essentially go to. So I'm taking that model, and we've created a gateway where all the DePIN models and structures that we tap into and partner with, we revenue share that back with our NBL holders. And that's essentially where Nuvola came to be from.
Awesome. And I also was able to interview the CEO of Igon,
Yep,
Navjeet.
Navjit.
So yeah, we had a whole convo with him too. So that's cool that you were working together.
Yeah, he's
He's
awesome.
he's amazing. Yeah, we had a really cool interview. So if anyone wants to check that out, I'll link that up above if you want to see that later on. For anyone new to this whole space, can you explain a little bit more about what DePIN is and how Nuvola comes into play with that, and what exactly Nuvola is in a few simple words?
Yep. So DePIN, the term DePIN stands for Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Networks. The simplest way that I've been able to explain it over the last several months to any newcomers is, imagine Amazon, right? Amazon is a centralized physical infrastructure network where all the revenues, operations, any kind of ownership is all within Amazon. They own everything. Also, being centralized, privacy is kind of a gray area where essentially they could technically own the data, and they turn around and actually sell critical, personal data to third parties all the time. Now, DePIN takes this a step further, and it decentralizes the entire system. It's all encrypted, privacy, all user-owned data, but it allows end users to contribute to the network, increase storage size, increase computing resources through nodes and server operations from anywhere in the world. Centralized entities don't allow this. They own and function within their own wheelhouse. decentralized entities create the software, the platforms, and then anyone can contribute to help the projects or the entities scale very rapidly. Nuvola steps in where we essentially partner with Iagon was actually our very first partner. Navjit talk on a regular basis. Navjit and I talk on a regular basis. We partner with them. We spin up nodes and servers anywhere in the world where they either feel a lack of support to the network or just they kind of have given us the freedom to open wherever. And we contribute to the size and the decentralization. So currently for Iagon, we have opened about 1.1 petabytes or 1100 terabytes worth of storage for them to boost their network and increase it in size. They've got some bare metal partnerships coming, so the demand is certainly going to be hitting Iagon very rapidly soon. We're also with Minutes Network, a partner. They're in the telecom, so we're helping run nodes for them to help them essentially connect and terminate calls on a global scale. Millions of calls a day are going to be coming online through their network. So at heart, Nuvola is a network infrastructure expansion provider. So we help networks expand very rapidly across the globe, essentially overnight, wherever they need us to be, we can help with node and servers. And then we take the revenue share model, we bring it back to our holders. So we are a DePIN aggregator where we partner with all these different DePIN partnerships, as we have just discussed, and we revenue share back to our holders and give them access to something that they normally wouldn't have access to.
I like asking every founder this question. I want to know from you, Raul, what's the first word that you want people to think when they think Nuvola and why?
One word for Nuvola, but this is the first time I've ever been asked this question, but I think the word that really embodies Nuvola is selfless.
Selfless.
I think there's a lot of greed in the world, and especially in crypto with everything you see, right? With the financial, the rugs and, lack of trust and everywhere. And I created Nuvola from the standpoint of a community member that over the last 6 years has been through hell and back with a lot of the projects that I was heavily invested in, that I believed in, that have let me down, have let the communities down. I've been part of rugs and a lot of things that I wish that I wasn't a part of in the moment, you're like, this is the greatest thing. And then it kind of falls apart and you see true colors. So I strive to be the founder in the project that I wish I found early on. And the word selfless, I think, is the best way to put it because we share everything that we do. Our entire model is a revenue share model. So
yeah, you're building a whole community around that. I like that. I like that because people they think crypto sometimes. They're like, oh yeah, like it's just people for like the pump and dump and these short-term gains, but you're really trying to build this so that everyone has access to this and it's more equitable for people. I see you have the token, the NVL token, but I want to know what's the utility, what's the use case, and how does the token exactly work?
Yeah, so the NVL token is actually its model is very interesting, and it has one utility and one utility only, and it's to be staked. We don't pay any staking in our own token. Everything is paid out in our partnership token so that it instantly kills any kind of sell pressure, emissions, dilution. Holding our token is like a gateway. It's a selfless element, right? Where you hold it and it gives you access to every single revenue stream that Nuvola has tapped into. Every partnership that we bring revenues and rewards from, simply being an NVL staker gets you access to that. And we've built what's called a 1-to-X revenue share model around it, where someone like yourself, let's say you buy 1,000 NVL tokens. When we had one partnership, you had exposure to one revenue stream for that one partner. So the model would be 1-to-1. We got the second partnership without you having to make an additional purchase of NVL. You now got exposure to two revenue streams. So the model then becomes 1-to-2, 1-to-3, and so on. Right now we're at 1-to-6. So an initial buyer didn't have to go out and purchase any more NVL or partnership tokens. Essentially, they are still getting equivalent exposure to all the rewards and revenues from just that one-time purchase. So essentially, you buy once and you continue to get exposure. And we are able to do this via our treasury. 50% of all revenues that come into the operations and treasury side, and that keeps getting redeployed into new partnerships or expanding current operations to essentially create this compounding effect where we can continue to have new revenues or increased revenues that keep coming back in that go to our stakers and our treasury. And we essentially just keep rinse repeating that same cycle. So it creates a positive feed loop essentially where if we do it right, easier said than done, right? And our partnerships deliver on what they are, promising. We can essentially keep feeding our ecosystem without ever having to raise additional funds. I know a lot of projects come across that problem where they run out of funds and they have to raise again. So with proper treasury management, we can get very rapid and aggressive growth and still maintain extreme value to our NVL holders and stakers.
Cool. So my background's actually in climate science and policy, so I'm very interested in environmental sustainability. So I want to know, how is Nuvola committing to environmental sustainability, and how do you plan to sustain that as you keep growing as a company?
Um, as far as I could tie it back to environmental sustainability, DePIN services, the hardware ran, they're not very taxing
Mhm.
or energy taxing like Bitcoin mining can be. So as far as environmental sustainability, we don't really have a negative kind of effect on what we're doing and operating. This is a very great question, actually. I've never been asked this, and I feel like I could be better prepared for it. But um, we can also actually partner with DePIN protocols that are trying to have operations or services in environmental sustainability. Let's say solar energy or wind energy. And again, I don't know too much about these specific sectors and whatnot, but if there was a DePIN entity that came into the world to help with recycling water and they had certain hardware and operations that they needed help with, we can completely effortlessly go and partner with them and help them sustain that. We're chain agnostic. We're also industry agnostic. We're not bound by any chain or code. It just comes down to the specific hardware that's needed or the software needed to essentially run these operations. So thank you for sparking that seed in my mind because now I'm going to go out there looking for any ways that we can actually contribute positively to the environment.
Great. Yeah. Yeah. There's always room to look for more partnerships like that. And I think that's a
Mhm.
growing thing too. People are interested in, okay, like if this is where my rewards are coming from, or this is what I'm investing in, what's its impact on the world? And I think
Yep.
that's a growing thing for investors for sure. And right now, is it just your team who's in charge of what partnerships are made, or is it going to be more in a decentralized way in the future where the community has some kind of vote?
Yeah, so currently it's myself and Syed.
Okay.
We are the ones who essentially predetermine the partnerships. We do have a vetting system with every partner. It's not like we just blindly go in. Three
Mhm.
things that really affect our decision making is one, the team. Are they doxed and are they trustworthy? And what's their track record, right, in the industry or even the industries that they've been in previously? Secondly, is what is their industry that they are, right? Is there longevity? Is there growth? Is there scalability? What problems are they trying to solve? And lastly, is what's their revenue share model? At the end of the day, we are a business too. So if we're going to be investing money into them, we need to make sure that we are creating significant revenue back for our own sustainability growth and obvious benefit to our NVL holders. So in the current moment, it's Syed and I, and we go through that process, but we have every single intention into including governance. This does create a little bit of a rock and a hard place situation because if we put something into vote, then it clearly exposes our hand and we could get front ran by the community. If they know that we're going to be making a significant investment into a project, a lot of these DePIN models, you need to purchase the tokens in order to run the nodes. So if they know we're going to make a significant investment, we could get front ran, token price can get out of reach, or, it can affect us negatively. So we're trying to find essentially a happy medium where there will be governance and voting, but we might
Mhm.
have to have some kind of soft agreement of OTC with the partnerships beforehand. So we'll always present win-win-win situations, so that no matter which path we take, we will positively be affected by it. And it will still be able to include the community. Being that we are 2 months old, we don't firmly have that mapped out and coded and get that, in structure, but it's absolutely in our plans to have that. And we get asked that often by our community as well. So it's going to be implemented in the very near future.
Gotcha. I want to know too, Are there any collaborations that you're allowed to share with me right now that you're working on that you can like say on the show, or are they like top secret right now? Anything you're
I
excited about that you already established too?
yeah, I mean, I will say our next industry of interest is AI.
Okay, yeah.
And we started opening some conversations with specific individuals and projects. So I can't share too much. There's always contract agreements and NDAs and stuff involved. But yeah, it's exciting times. We have a lot coming. The Minutes Network, I don't know how familiar you are with them.
Reach
They're
out to
in
me, yeah.
they're in partnership with World Mobile. It's actually the Watkins brothers, Josh and
Hmm.
Mickey. Minutes Network is going to be, I believe, an extremely lucrative partnership for us, and we're very close knit with them. And we are a significant sized operation for their nodes. We have a big announcement coming out this Friday.
Ooh.
Yeah, to really announce the full scale size of our operations for them. So stay tuned for that. But if I could share more, I absolutely would. I just don't want to burn any bridges at the current moment.
Gotcha. Are you allowed to share, are there any plans for expanding in developing countries or like long-term growth goals? What are your plans for expanding out there and helping people in developing countries?
Yeah, so there's actually, and again, another great question. I've never been asked this, and it's actually almost like a forgotten piece of our white paper. In our revenue share model portion of our white paper that talks about staking rewards, we mentioned or we put a little section that shows all the DePIN partnerships could potentially we could
Mhm.
form. And the very last bubble shows RWAs, real world assets. So one of the things that Syed and I are looking to do is to have data centers established across the world to help connect essentially, like World Mobile, for example, is connecting the unconnected. What better way to do that than to have data centers present in these countries that are underdeveloped to essentially allow these technologies to exist freely and work in those areas. But one of my personal long-term visions that I have for Nuvola is to get into real estate. And I was on a couple of spaces where there's a couple other projects that are looking to get essentially community funded real estate operations going in a lot of the underdeveloped countries where they can build better infrastructure, like physical infrastructure for people to live in, right? Where a lot of people are living in these rundown neighborhoods, or there's just a lot of poverty driven sections of these countries where we can step in on a global scale, have operations where we can establish better communities, right? Like build better structure, housing, apartments, condominiums, things of this nature. This is essentially a long term goal, right? It takes a lot of funding and money. Um, but I come from a very small town in Italy where the infrastructure there is not really all the greatest. It's very old, right? And I've always wanted to kind of go back and help some of my neighborhoods, give them a facelift and kind of pick up where the funding ended years ago. I recently went back and I couldn't believe the state of my town. It's called Reggio di Calabria. COVID struck them pretty hard, and their sanitation system went completely down.
Hmm.
And if you walk around most neighborhoods, there's just trash and alleyways everywhere, people setting the trash on fire. It's really disheartening to see. So, one of the places that I kind of want to see if I can set my own fingerprint or footprint in first would be my own hometown, which is very small. But if I could use Nuvola to essentially empower that movement and create that effect there, I think it's going to be a real home run for us. And again, I'm from there, so I'm sure I'll be embraced with open arms.
Great, great. Yeah, I hope that happens. I think, yeah, when it hits close to home too, you really want to
Yeah,
uplift that.
it was a
Yeah.
bit disheartening to see the state that they were in when I visited 2 years ago. So
So I know a lot of people on our show are fans of the Cardano blockchain. I know you're chain agnostic, but you did start off with Cardano. So what are the reasons why? I know you saw the whiteboard, Charles's whiteboard, and that inspired you, but were there any other reasons too that made you choose Cardano to start with?
yeah, I mean, I think Cardano is one of the most secure blockchains, right? Charles's vision with security has always kind of caught my attention. The few times that I did get burned in crypto was not on Cardano; it was on these other chains where it's a little more predatory. Crypto in general, I feel, is like the wild wild west still. But the wallets on other chains, I think it's just so easy to plug and play that it's almost too easy. and it's too easy for someone to essentially, you see a lot of wallet drains, and the few times again that I got um, burned was because of that. But Cardano is doing what they're building is scaling properly, and they are connecting the broader economic world, right? Even with the recent developments with Argentina, there's a lot there that's kind of starting to simmer. And I'm just happy that we could be home base here. Now, I am not a chain maxi by any means. I happen to love Cardano and everything it's done, and to see its development and growth over the last 6 years is almost mind blowing. Because when I first got on Cardano, they didn't even have a wallet. It was just a token on random exchanges, and it was like, yeah, we're gonna do this in a couple of years. But to see where it's at now, I almost laugh when people complain because it's like you have no idea how far we've actually come. Um, but we want to also help Cardano not be so barricaded in its own chain. That's why we are chain agnostic.
Mhm.
We already have two partners that are one is on Ethereum, one's on Base. And we're entertaining two other partnerships on Ethereum where the conversation isn't what chain are you on? The conversation is how can you help us and how can we help you? And when we break down those barriers, it really becomes, oh, this is really the crypto adoption that we're all trying to get by delivering these real world use case and products to end users without them feeling like they're on a crypto application. And I think Cardano is one of the better suited blockchains for that. Are they the best at everything? Absolutely not, right? I think we're still a little bit slow. There's a lot of chain load that kind of makes the interaction with buying, selling, and interacting on these apps a bit kind of handicapped at the current moment, but it's all going to get solved and we will grow eventually. But do I see crypto being a one chain kind of atmosphere? Absolutely not. I think every chain has what they're good at. I know AVAX is great for gaming, and Ethereum essentially created the whole DeFi atmosphere to start, right? But we're all gonna coexist, and I think it's never gonna be one or the other. I'm just happy that for security purposes, our staking model is on Cardano. It's safe, it's secure, it's audited, and it allows us for liquid staking as well, which is awesome.
Mhm.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, Cardano all the way, but essentially, I know that we can.
We need these collaborations. We
You
need
need these collabs. It's
we need to help
absolutely
each
dire,
other.
And like I said, being in these conversations with these other players on other chains, it's never why are you on Cardano? It's been like, hey, we're interested. Like, let's talk. How can we help each other?
Mhm.
So
Well, my very last question for you is how can we help you? How can our community get involved? I know you're making some kind of big announcement on Friday, but before then, yeah, what can we do?
honestly, spreading the word,
Okay.
just having asking the tough questions. I think innovation really comes from being ripped apart and asked why this, why that. I don't agree with this, and just proceeding forward from those conversations like that. You've done a phenomenal job asking me questions that I've never been asked before. As far as like what I envision Nuvola being in one word, and essentially what our mission statement is, how we are impacting the environment, or how we can contribute to positively impacting the environment. Now I'm going to go out and see how I can get involved and all these other initiatives that can help push that further, right? Um, but essentially, just continue to do what you do, spread the word, ask the tough questions. I really thank you for that because it put me on the spot a little bit. Like, oh wow, this is stuff that I haven't really thought about yet. But now I'm gonna go back and really touch base with Syed and see how what can we do on our end. So
Awesome. Yeah. Once you have some of those answers too, I'd love to have you on the show again, and maybe we can do a whole show of your findings and your upcoming goals for the environment later on once you figure that out. Yeah.
absolutely. And if you know any projects that are pushing forward in that environmental sector,
Mhm.
feel free to pass them my way, and we'll see how we can get involved from our end.
Sounds good. Awesome. I'll link all your info down below so our audience can check you guys out and they can reach out to you too with additional questions. But yeah, this has been an amazing convo and I'm happy we were able to make it happen. I know there's a lot of different things going here and there with scheduling, but I'm so happy that we were able to make it happen today. So thank you for your time.
Yes, pleasure was mine, and thank you for having me. I look forward to the next one.
Amazing. Well, that's it for us today. Feel free to like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts. Feel free to share this with your friends if you enjoyed this content, and we'll see you next time, everyone. Bye.